Guys, good to see you. Obviously, game week, Ohio State style this week, relatively healthy going into it. I think we get on the depth chart.
We have not yet.
We'll discuss our depth chart. It's still a little chance for change because we still have 3 days. It's a plus 1 day after a bye week or first game of the season. Normally give our players Mondays off during the year, but we have today's going to be Monday, full pads. Tomorrow, if everybody acts appropriately, we'll go Buckeye gear on Tuesday, and then Wednesday same, cut back practice with their legs back, and typical Thursday, and then best friends and football on Friday. So that's our week schedule. We're going to have our captain vote tonight at 2:10, and then I'll let you guys know where that ends up. With that said, I'll answer any questions for you.
We'll open up front row left, Bob.
Urban, last year, everybody was asking you about whether you were a different guy than you were at Florida. And I'm just wondering, now that you've had a year back, if you're a different guy now than you were last year when you came back.
Well, we're pretty much the same guy. All right. I don't know. I just like to play football. All due respect, and answer questions about football.
Front row right, Austin.
I think the last time you talked to us, 4 or 5 units that had your attention. Did you get those? If you're more comfortable with those now, or do you still need to see a game to truly?
No, much more comfortable. The area that we're still trying to solidify is linebacker. Just because there's some young guys in the depth, and then also Curtis Grant hasn't really played a whole lot of Mike linebacker. He's catching up quick. He missed a lot of practices because he got injured during training camp. But he's going real hard and trying to catch up as fast as he can. So that's the only one area that we're a little bit behind. But the other positions, offensive line, feel very good about. Quarterback feel good about. Receivers, probably one of the most improved areas on our team. Running back feel very good about. So just kind of going through kickers. I'm interested to see how our kicker punter reacts. That's one unit that remains to be determined. And then defensive line, they're young, but they're really, Coach Vrabel's done a really nice job with them. Secondary, I think I'd like to see how Armani reacts to getting his first college start. The safeties are pretty veteran group, three older players. Titus Bowles getting his first college start. So there are some units, but the linebackers are the one area that's the most concerning.
You had to go through at least some stretch where Lindsay was banged up and Morrill was out for a little while. Did they get enough time together in camp?
Yeah, that's a good question. Not enough time, but they're a veteran group. They played all 12 games together last year. So Lindsley, the good thing that gave us is a chance to get Elfline and Jacoby Boren in there, and they'll play Saturday. Both those kids have earned that right to play, so they'll both play Saturday.
Right in the middle, Dave.
Urban, how much more of the playbook do you use this year as opposed to last year? I don't even know if you can quantify it, but offensively, how much more of the playbook do you think you can use?
Last year we were not a read offense, and I'm not sure, to be honest, I'm not sure how much read offense we're going to be. I think we're going to have the spread, the idea that we want to do is get guys in space. But we might be doing that throwing more this year than we did last year, so I don't want to give away too much, but I'm not sure it's going to be, I've honestly equated to maybe the 2008 offense in Florida, or last year's offense, which was really not. That was either quarterback run or hand it to a big tailback, because we just weren't very good at certain spots. But those areas are much better. So I'm hoping that we can spread the field however we're going to do it. And it might not be that read option part of it. It might be some other ways.
Very back, Jared.
Oh. Hey, Coach, just curious about freshmen in particular, without looking at a 2D. Which freshmen do you know today will be on the field Saturday, who have earned that right to play?
Well, for sure, Dontre Wilson and Ezekiel Elliott will play. On defense, I would imagine Joey Bosa for sure will play. Mike Hill, we're hoping to get in there. And the freshman punter. I think those are the ones for sure. Then the other ones depend how they practice and get going.
Middle left, Dave.
Urban, I know you've addressed this, but what's kind of the common thread that maybe led to so much success for your teams in year two? What is it about year two, having that foundation in, that have allowed your teams to take off?
Just how fast we're going, and it's a blessing whenever you have a no staff transition, because you're not spending. This time last year was, I don't want to use that word a lot, it was terrible, it was awful. I think last year on Friday in preseason, we went to dinner at the golf course for no other reason, just because I want it out of their system. What's next? I want the players concentrated on their game and responsibilities. So when you have the same coaching staff, a lot of the same players, certainly on offense, and even the defensive players at least were here a year ago. So usually, and it's not just our teams tend to have a much better year their second year if you have the players.
Far left, Matt.
Just wondering, I mean, you're talking about the stage that the offense will be this year. With Braxton, you know, a year ago he led the team in rushing. I don't know if you can predict things or whether he will again, but do you foresee that, or would you rather with more weapons?
I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, he was by far our best player, and when I say by far, I mean it wasn't even the same hemisphere as far as who the next player was that could go make a play and help us win. But I'm very comfortable with Philly Brown. Evan Spencer's had a tremendous camp. Jordan Hall looks better than he's ever has. So there's some. We have 2 tight ends, and I can't wait to get them involved. So if Braxton's leading it, I don't see that happening this year. If it does, that means something's not going well.
Front row, Bill.
Urban, when you think ahead to Saturday, what are the big questions you have? What are you most eager to see?
Well, the reaction by Ezekiel and Dontre Wilson in the stadium. You know, they weren't here in spring practice. The kids that came early, at least they had a chance to play in front of a big crowd for the spring game. I don't, but I think coaches have a tendency to devalue what happens when you jog out that tunnel, especially a place like Ohio Stadium. But, I mean, there'll be a lot of deep breaths being taken, and you just can't create that animal until you get that opportunity. So that's what I'm anxious, but I'm also been there a few times. So I want to see how Dontre's going to return the opening kickoff of the 2013 Ohio State football team. The thing I like about Dontre is he does some things he's not done that yet. So you see me jog someone else out there, you know, we're having a little hyperventilating issue.
Front row left, Lori.
Which I've seen before.
With as much as you guys have learned about,
Isn't that beautiful about young players? I'm sorry.
with as much as coaches have learned about player safety and the way that you have to handle practices, do you now need games more than ever to know what you've got as a coach?
Well, you can. I think the question is because you can't put so many scrimmages and so much contact in practice. Absolutely. And we were very smart this year as far as the way we practice. If I had a great, it depends how we play coming up here, but I really like the way Coach Barati and myself have spent an inordinate amount of time with our trainers and just making sure we're doing it the right way. And I really feel good about where we're at. But there's a lot of truth to what you said. You can't simulate the game situations as often as maybe you did in the past. Very rarely did we have those kind of situations.
Front row left, Rusty.
The two-headed sword of being number 2 in the nation have won. Everybody thinks you're pretty good, got a lot of talent. Are you at all concerned that the players are aware of that and could believe it, or it could alter how they perform? They think a little bit too much of themselves, but because...
Oh, I'm always worried about that. See, the question is if because of high expectations that I think they got some of the answers. I'd be disappointed in our staff if that happened, because then that's what practice is for, and corrections and meeting rooms and meetings. And I don't think we have that problem. I really don't. First of all, we're not that good yet. I'll tell you if I believe we are. We're not. We have a long way to go, especially in certain areas. So I don't feel that at all.
Front row right, Tim.
Yeah, Urban, just a couple of questions. Number one, do you feel like you're coming out of preseason, you talked about this a minute ago, deeper than you thought you'd be in the offensive line, or what's your take there?
Yeah, no, much deeper. Pat Elfine's a great story. What a worker, what a tremendous kid, tremendous family, just tough. I love that group. So, he's a guy that has really come on. Kyle Dotson's come on. A guy named Darryl Baldwin has come on. Those are all players that a year ago, didn't think you'd ever let them on the field in a situation where it counts. It's not going to happen. Darryl Baldwin, a young man from Solon, he's one of the most improved players on the team. I don't know if I even mentioned him. He's what a great kid. What a great kid. No maintenance, nothing other than just hard-working guy that gets great grades and is a wonderful player. Great representative of Ohio State. So he's a guy that you could see him going in the game. I have no problem putting him, Pat Elfine, Jacoby Boren in the game. And Kyle Dotson's getting close.
And running back, obviously, looking at you think the top 2 guys aren't available this week. I mean, you know, maybe George one of those top two, but what's sort of gonna be your plan, Saturday with your running backs?
Well, we
This
play.
is accelerate like Wilson and Elliott.
Well, he is, Jordan Hall is the best running back on our team right now. And so he'll have to lose that spot. I'm talking next week, the week after, whatever. I mean, Jordan Hall depends on him. He's a tailback at Ohio State. He's earned it, right? Our plan is, Briante Dunn and Warren Ball are the next two in. And we want to get Ezekiel in to see how he responds in that kind of environment. I'm not sure how early, but he certainly will be carrying the ball on Saturday. He's earned that right as well. And then the same with Dontre Wilson will line up as a tailback position. So it's really neat to have that many spots, have those choices.
Front row middle, Steve.
Hey, Coach, I'm doing a story about scheduling, and Buck's talked about that. You guys are going to 9 games in the future in the conference. I assume you've collaborated with Gene Smith on what you guys want to do. You have 2 night games this year, and I think 1 year down the line you're playing Cincinnati, TCU, and North Carolina. That's a pretty tough schedule. Just talk about the philosophy and what you're doing.
Gene, I really don't get involved that much. We have very few discussions. I have many more issues we have to deal with about just getting this team ready to play, so I trust him. We're best ADs in America, I trust him, and he knows more than I do about that kind of stuff. So we'll have conversations, but it's not very long, and like I said, I'm back in the building and trying to get the team ready. So I think there is going to be a shift. I really don't understand the playoffs. I really don't. It's really not my job to understand this, trying to get ready for this game Saturday. So I do think there's a philosophical, I'm not saying shift, but awareness of what's going to be necessary down the road.
2 night games, are you excited about that?
I'm really excited.
Never happened.
No, I'm real excited about that, because that's recruiting, especially the night games we have. The earlier games are a hard time. I didn't really realize that, but it was hard to get guys here, because you're leaving at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. to, after a Friday night football game. A lot of times Saturday, the high school coach has a player come in and get treatments and all that, and the kids can't make the games. Where at night games, you shouldn't have an issue. So really excited. Plus, I think our atmosphere at night was magical.
Front row middle, Doug.
Urban, I guess with Jordan and but the other running backs behind him, how comfortable are you with the things they have to do that aren't running the ball, pass protection?
George's a little smaller, but he's arguably one of the toughest guys pound for pound on our team. So I'm pretty good. Stan Brady's done a nice job of pass protection, which that is a big part of it. Catching the ball out of the backfield is a big part of it. Jordan's fantastic at that. And the other guys are pretty good too. So we're real comfortable going this game.
Just in general, with that part of it, Braxton, the offensive line, everybody, you've talked in the past about Braxton maybe needing to be a better scrambler, know when to get out of the pocket, with the offensive line protecting him. Just how do you feel about that whole situation, avoiding sacks, making those decisions in the pocket?
I feel very good. Fundamentally, he's a much different player than he was this time a year ago. And pocket presence, which includes when it breaks down, getting plus yardage. We're not a very good scrambler. A lot of most of his yards last year were on design quarterback runs. And maybe one play got screwed up. But he was not a very good scrambler. He's much improved.
A couple more questions. Front row, Todd.
Urban, aside from winning, I think there was times last year when you won you were not real happy about it. What does success look like for you Saturday? What puts you in a good mood?
He wants to play well. He wants to play clean. Remember last year, the first quarter was 7-0 after the first quarter. And should have been worse, could have been worse. So I just didn't think, really up until the 3rd or 4th game, that we acted clean. So I made this comment many times, is I just think fundamentally we were 12-0, and some really great things happened, some incredible leadership, motivation, and a team that got really close, which is probably more important than anything. Not probably, it is. But the second most important part is just blocking, tackling, and great football position, and all the things that we worked so hard at. I mean, we started in January on that. That's a big part of the chase. So I'm hoping we leave that field Saturday, obviously with a win, but you feel good about the fundamentals of your football team. If you do that, then that's a real positive. And we didn't feel that way. It took us a while last year.
Last question, Ben, left.
Yeah. As you've studied Buffalo so far, what's stood out about them?
They got one of the best linebackers. He's number 2 on the board as far as the NFL draft, number 46. Tremendous player. They rush him a lot off the edge. They play a very unorthodox defense. It's called 54 eyes, which means it's all, there's 3-4 and 4-3. This is a version of the 3-4. and they play their defensive tackles inside our tackles, which just screws up all your blocking schemes. And real unique coverage called two into it, which we haven't seen in a couple of years. So it's just good thing is we've been working on this for a while. But they're just it's a pain in the butt. I think they play extremely hard, and they got good players. And there's that staff's been together for a while, so it's not an unprepared team. So I think it's a good team, good players, and a unique scheme that's hard on offense. I think they're going to probably switch up things a little bit. We're not quite sure exactly what we're going to get. They do sometimes shifts in motions, which can always cause you issues. And so I think the first quarter kind of settled down in typical openers. You kind of let, not get too nuts out there. Just let things settle down. What are they playing? Find out what they're playing. And then your game plan adjusts. Because really, you go off last year's stuff, but a lot of things change.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.